fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my God! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Good evening and welcome to the latest edition of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. We're into the second half of the season for Season 2. It's round 4, coming to you live from the virtual Laguna Seca here in iRacing, thanks to Simspeed TV. My name is Ryan Jones, and alongside me in the booth, David Haynes. Jake Kennedy is behind the scenes, working the cameras and everything else that comes with it. David, looking forward to this race. A big open racetrack, a track that everyone should know like the back of their hand with how often it's used in iRacing, which should provide us with some pretty good racing as a result.
Yeah, exactly. Very famous circuit, location of some famous battles, and I think fantastically, iRacing base content. Everyone's got it. No excuse to have not tried it. No excuse to not be familiar and not love it. And here is a good look at its very, very famous turns. Andretti hairpin, big braking zone, best overtaking spot. Turn 6, always very, very tough, fast and unsighted. And the corkscrew, not only the best corner at this circuit, but maybe one of the best corners in all of motorsport.
Yeah, it's up there for sure.
It's up there.
It's up there. Let's take a look then at our starting grid for race 1. Christopher Williams gets the pole. Russell Clark will start alongside him. John Schultz and Cameron Dance are on the second row of the grid ahead of Robert Cook and Angus Cook. Matt Marsh and Aidan Coote starting from 7th and 8th. Matthew Mites and Matty Jones making up the rest of your top 10.
Then over the page in our field, we've got Sean Doyle in 11th. It's Kevin Henderson in 12th. Braden Martin in 13th, not missing out on any footy tonight. His team's not playing. Jamie Davis in 14th, Dennis Hancock 15th, Dean Williams is in 16th, and Julian Mookie in the always easy to spot rainbow liveried kind of car there in 17th. Nathan Verney is your 18th position on the grid, and it's Isaac Summers and Russell Marsh for the row behind that.
Looking back, 21st on back in our ever big grid. Vic Bent-Velson, David Summers, Jeremy Bush, Peter Wilkinson, Jack Patterson and Ira Felberg, Connor Brown, Leon Williams, Matthew Joy, and Philip Howe make up your top 30. And then Gary Wellman starts from 31st ahead of Dwayne Priest and Justin Howe. Making up our 33 car field here at Laguna Seca. It's a big old run down to turn number 1. That big braking zone. Going to offer up plenty of overtaking opportunities and potential for 3, maybe 4 wide here on the opening lap of the race. 20 seconds until we get that green. The weather conditions out there, pretty standard, 28 degrees Celsius for these drivers to contend with. Looking for the start then for race 1 of 2 this evening from Laguna Seca. The revs rise, and let's get this one underway. It's Williams from the pole. Can he get the launch? Green flag is out. And he does get the launch. These cars always move away relatively slowly. Then they pick up their steam, and they'll have a lot of it as they jump on the brakes down here in the braking zone. And already looking up the inside is Russell Clark, and behind him, they're 3 wide. John Schultz on the outside at the moment. Might lose out to Cameron Dance picking up a spot early as well.
You can see some wheels and wings already removed from the bodywork and strewn across the Andretti hairpin. A couple drivers involved there. Nathan Verney, long-time competitor in both seasons of this championship. Some problems, but right up the front, Christopher Williams still has the lead, but look at the pressure he is coming under from those behind.
Yeah, Russell Clark right with him. And then this big battle for third. Cameron Dance getting by John Schultz, who's trying to come back at him while fending off Aiden Coote. Then Robert Cook there as well. Through the fast King, almost 90 degrees to the left, up the hill, which gives us the elevation we need to dip back downhill at an incredible rate of knots through the corkscrew, the left into the right, blind corners as you race down.
Yeah, look at that view. Car drops away, and your line on the way into the corner becomes very, very important to have your reference markers and or your turn-in points. And those are difficult to spot in traffic like this as they race ferociously at the front of the field and then in the inevitable pack behind.
Dance just dropped a couple tyres off the exit there at the final corner, got the gravel, and that is going to allow John Schultz to pull alongside him. Aiden Coote is going to get a pretty good run as well, but don't know if he's got anywhere he can go with it, and he opts not to force them 3 wide too early on in what's going to be a 9-lap opening race. Just sits in behind, and still there's nowhere to go as Dance and Schultz remain pretty even through those first 2 corners.
Super determined stuff from Dance to go around the outside of the hairpin there and then gives him the inside. He didn't give up on it, and he was rightly rewarded for that. Tell you what, Coote's a huge mover in the field, though, from 8th on the grid to be amongst these guys. So he's our biggest mover in the top 10 he was, as Kevin Henderson grabs some positions as well. So it is super close, too close for Kevin Henderson as he's come together with Matt Marsh.
Looks like all the body part is still attached from Matt Marsh, maybe a slight crinkle in that rear wing, though. That's going to drop him a long way down the order as Henderson missing. Nope, that's just the paintwork. I thought that little black patch on his nose when he was missing his nose, but it's all intact. As Sean Doyle, we'll see that as he pulls alongside and can't get by him up at the corkscrew. Not a corner traditionally you want to go side by side into.
Well, unless your name's Alex Zanardi, you can get away with it. But normally it is a very difficult corner to do that, as you point out. Difficult braking zone, difficult to spot your turn-in point. And as Matty Jones has almost discovered there, very easy to get 2 tyres in the dirt, lose a position, and you can see how hard he's still struggling with the tyre temperature and other bits. With the replay here, a bit further up the field, Cam Dance, look at that, just losing the rears on his way into the final corner, and that has been costly, costly, costly.
He did well to hang on to that, in fact. Normally in those cases, you see that car go all the way around, and now he's caught behind Aiden Coote as a lapped car that's just come out of pit road. That's Connor Brown. That's caught all 3 of these guys offline, heading into the middle sector, and Coote on the defense. Dance forcing his way to the inside, and Angus Cook looking on, trying to figure out which way he can go here. Through turn 5 and up the hill, Dance takes a spot back away, but look how far ahead John Schultz has got since breaking free of Dance.
Yeah, massive little gap there. A couple of seconds is, in a short race like this, a very good margin to have. Look at the run up the hill for Coote in the yellow car. Always easy to spot. He's going to have to go around the outside of Dance, and that is not normally going to work, and it's not going to work on this particular occasion. But your run up the hill, so important from that that turn.
Just dipping from view for a moment behind our screens there. The undulation of this track, making it a lot of fun to drive, but also adding that extra element of challenge to most of these corners, which on paper wouldn't be quite so difficult. Notably that corkscrew, its challenge increased tenfold by that sizable dip that you transgress in the space of 1 corner, as Coote looks high, looks low, and still can't find a way through.
Yeah, not able to do anything this time around at the opening hairpin. He still finds himself looming behind Cam Dance, with Angus Cook completing the trio. Behind them, Kevin Henderson was all 4 tyres in the dirt and sideways. What an adventure he's had in these opening couple of laps in this race. Just pushing too hard through that sort of infield section. We're going to take a look. He's pushes it real hard, and it's not grass, it's dust out there.
Yeah, it is. It's in California.
Yep, Monterey, California.
Yeah. Just south of San Jose, and I didn't have my eyes on the map screen, that's why I had to pause there. Last time I tried to call out where a track was, I got the state completely wrong. I think I said Las Vegas was located in California for some reason, knowing full well it's in Nevada.
So now, Coop, from pursuing Dance, finds himself under a little bit more pressure from Cook, who I think hooked up that last corner very, very well. He was right at the apex. You want to get the car on the curbing, but you don't want to hit that anti-cut orange bump in the center. And he got right where you want to be near that, making the best arc and angle out of the corner, but without upsetting the car jumping over those curbs.
It's a tough track to pass. You would think it would be relatively easy. It's not exactly tight. It's nice and wide in most parts, and it's a 3.6 kilometer circuit, but just the momentum you keep up in most of these corners makes it rather difficult. As Matty Jones, who we saw having an excursion earlier, has to bring us to pit road, and Angus Cook, again, finding out how tricky it is. And in these cars where you're not getting particularly high speeds up, you're not spending enough time on the brakes to be able to make those moves to the inside of the corner like that, where normally you'd be able to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a particularly long track, and the average speeds aren't really that high, unless we compare it to Watkins Glen, for example, where you have some very long full throttle runs where the slipstream closes you up, and then some bigger braking zones. So yeah, if the driver in front doesn't make a mistake, it's very tough to get past here. But the good thing is that a lot of these corners trick you into making mistakes. We're talking about that, kink that sends you up the hill, talking about the corkscrew, talking about Andretti hairpin. They're all very, very difficult corners. So your persistence in keeping the pressure on can often be rewarded in that way.
1:37.009, by the way, just eclipsed by Christopher Williams, but John Schultz showing some decent pace up in third at the moment. Look out for him potentially in race 2 when we add an extra few laps on, and the pit stops as well. Williams doing a fantastic job to hold up 1.9 second lead over Clark, 3.5 back to Schultz, and then the margins further down the order we go. Here's the battle for P10. This is Jamie Davis and Braden Martin. Last time by, Martin just fractionally quicker. He'll need to be a little bit faster than that if he wants to get close enough to make that move. He made a mistake, actually, through that last corner, which has cost him probably what he gained last lap.
Swings and roundabouts then. So most of our field still out, still racing, and the battles have gone from being 10-car packs to being 3 cars for 4th, 2 cars here for 10th, 2 cars behind them for Summers and Bush in some little battles there. Oh, good run from Martin there. I thought he was going to put 2 tyres on the dirt on the exit, which you don't want to do because the track keeps curving and you won't be able to keep up. You'll end up further adrift, and that's what makes it a very difficult corner there as well. The track just keeps going away from you.
Where's the track? That shot as you fearlessly dip down the corkscrew. I'm sure is incredibly unnerving your first time through there in real life, and it was a little disconcerting as well in the sim the first 2 times around, or the first couple times.
A bit of a wine region of California, so there isn't a shortage of corkscrews either.
Is that why it's called the corkscrew?
I think for its shape, not the produce of the region, but I think it's a happy little coincidence, as here comes a potential move from Martin. Good run to the inside over the hill on the pit straight. He's in the inside for this double apex hairpin.
That was a really good move from Braden Martin to make that one stick. Closed in quite a lot on that last lap to pull that one off, and Dennis Hancock just quietly behind them, much quicker than the pair of them. So watch out for him. Meanwhile, John Schultz, remember that fast lap I highlighted 2 laps ago, which which was eclipsed by Williams. Well, he's got on with it. He went purple, I think I saw last lap time, and has closed in to within a second now of Russell Clark. Yeah, you see there, 36.752. Actually, the fastest driver in the top 3.
Fastest driver on track, fastest lap of this race so far. So you pointed out he is flying along now and catching his teammate of Russell Clark. We often see those two very near each other out on track. They always qualify up front. They got pretty similar pace as well.
And these are 3 drivers we've seen at the front all season long, haven't we? And then Cameron Dance is only 4th, and he's won the last 3 races in a row. So these guys are doing good now to take their hold back on that championship fight to try and stop Dance and reeling them in, as Aiden Coote puts in a fastest lap of the race there in 5th. So he's not done with Dance. He might run him down with a lap and a bit left to go. 36 is the lap time for all of our top 5.
So our sprint race starting to wind up, only a couple laps left in it, and Christopher Williams got that 1.8 second gap that you feel like he's maybe just been managing all race long, because that's what the gap was on about lap 2 or 3, and it's just stayed with Russell Clark just far enough behind him that he doesn't have to worry.
Martin Davis again. Despite getting by, Martin is not really able to show any superior pace, and Davis is stuck right with him. Dennis Hancock hasn't made any further progress now that they're running single file and not holding each other up quite as much. He'll be hoping that Davis can find something to come back at Martin here, and that should bring Hancock into the picture as he comes into our picture. There from the chopper cam across the top of the circuit.
Yep, through the corkscrew. There's 3 trees on the far side of the track, and you've got to pick the correct one to know you're on the correct line, and then turn as you come across the crest. That's one of those markers that you use to know you're on the right track, on the right place, making good time. And making good time is John Schultz. Whoa! Someone spins off the track there. Might have been Felberg himself, but was out of the way of Clark and Schultz. Schultz is on the final lap here, so if he's going to be able to grab second place, it's going to have to be a mistake from Clark, surely.
No, you would think so.
There was no team orders amongst them last week.
No, but I don't think there will be either. It's going to be a case of a little bit too little too late for Schultz after he started this one from 3rd. Maybe needs to put himself on that front row for the beginning of race number 2 as they come up across the back of the circuit for the final time in this race. There's the margin looking back from Clark as Schultz closes in on the brakes, but not close enough for a move into the corkscrew through the winding left and then into the penultimate corner. Christopher Williams has taken one of the more comfortable sprint race victories of the season so far out of the final corner. It's going to be a race win at Laguna Seca for Christopher Williams. He gets that checkered flag and he leads home the 2-3 for the teammates in Clark and Schultz.
Yeah, not far behind to find Dance, Coote, Cook, Kevin Henderson. Pretty big mover up 5 positions from, gosh, that would have been 11th or so. Side by side here, Braden Martin just in front of Jamie Davis.
He did a good job to hold that position right down to the wire after Davis tried to come back at him late. David Summers and Jeremy Bush, that battle's been resolved. Heading down the main straight, 14th and 15th for those two respectively. Quite a few retirements actually in this race. Maybe a little bit unexpected given the openness of this racetrack and a decent amount of runoff, even if it is mostly dirt and gravel.
Another little duel to the checkered flag, but I think Jack Patterson has held off Leon Williams on that one. There's only a couple cars on circuit behind them. Julian Mookie has crossed the line, and I think it's just Matthew Joy left.
And that brings us to the end of race 1. Ooh, that engine will be glad to see the end of that. Let's take a look at our race results. 1 second was the winning margin in the end for Christopher Williams over our championship leader, Russell Clark. John Schultz came home in 3rd ahead of Cameron Dance and Aidan Coote. Angus Cook, Kevin Henderson 6th and 7th, Sean Doyle on 8th, Matthew Mites in 9th, Raider Martin just claiming 10th at the line.
In 11th was Jamie Davis. 12th was Dennis Hancock. Matt Marsh for 13th place. Then David Summers 14th. Jeremy Bush 15th. Philip Howe there 16th place. Isaac Summers, Peter Wilkinson, Vic Bent Veltson, and Jack Patterson complete the top 20, all on the lead lap.
So with race 1 wrapping up, we'll go to a break here on Simspeed TV, but stay with us, because on the other side of this, coming back for qualifying and all the action from race 2 from Laguna Seca.
North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into 2nd position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison.
Georgia, Bill Elliott straining car number 9 to bring it home. 10 car lengths. Bill Elliott, 2-time winner of the Great American Race.
On the out of fuel, Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt is going to win the Trans-South 500, his 2nd win of 1987.
It's going to be a battle for 2nd. Bill Elliott is
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going with the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God.
big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Welcome back to the dusty confines of the Laguna Seca, or Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca facility in Southern California. Live on Simspeed TV, presented by Simfinity and Virtual Motorsport Mentor. You're getting set for our feature race, our 25-minute, 15-lap CPS race for this one. Compulsory pit stop for a minimum of 2 tyres, which is, as always, going to throw some strategy into the mix. Normally, it gives us our race where the fast guy runs away with it, but that happened in race 1. So I wonder if we'll get a closer fight this time by David.
Yeah, absolutely ran away with it with a winning margin of fractionally over 1 second.
I
mean, but yeah,
compared to the other opening races of our rounds.
Yeah, so I mean, here is your points on screen that shows just how close it is at the top, how important consistency is, and how Cam Dance needs to get every single position he can get his hands around at this point halfway through the championship. Clark, Cook, Dance, Williams, all super close. Matt Marsh still in there as well, as they on their outlaps for qualifying right now. And that gives you an idea of sort of what's at stake here in round 4 of 6.
Yep. Russell Clark extending his margin with a runner-up finish. Williams would have grabbed a point, but maybe a position over Dance, and that's about it. It's definitely very tight here in our championship. There's actually a 3-way tie for second now in the championship. All behind Russell Clark. Dance, Cook, and Williams are tied on 310 points apiece. Let's head down for qualifying then. 10 minutes, maximum of 3 laps. Around the 3.6 kilometer circuit. Looking for a lap time to put you on the pole. And who have we got out there on the track? Oh, here's Russell. Here's
Everyone.
Russell Marsh.
Russell Marsh is a good pick. I think at this point... Whoa, no, he's not. That is a trouble spot out on circuit that we've mentioned a couple times. One of several corners here where you've got a slightly blind entry. You've got to be super duper committed. The curb on the inside is tough, and if you push out wide, we mentioned that you start understeering and the circuit keeps turning away from you. So you've got to be precise, and you absolutely get punished on cold tires as well, as we saw there, if you get it even the slightest bit wrong.
Certainly right. And is this going to be our first lap time on the board? As it won't be. This is beginning the first time lap for driver of the number 4. Here's Gary Wellman, who we've seen throughout the season so far, making his way through the final sector. And Wellman is also on an outlap at the moment. Is anyone on a time lap?
Quite a few drivers are starting their flying laps right now, but of course, 10-minute session. We were 2 minutes in a couple seconds ago, so that was drivers who'd left the pit lane, come around, just started their time laps, and Matty Jones might be the first on a flying lap. Race 1 did not go his way at all. 2 trips on a pit lane, and I think he was a retirement in the end. So if he gets a good qualifying and gets a good grid position for race 2 here, he's on track for a little bit of redemption. How about that drift angle through the corkscrew, though?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Not quite Tokyo Drift spec, but getting there for Matty Jones. It will have absolutely destroyed his lap time, and sent some pretty rapid temperature spikes through the surface of that tire carcass as well, which will hurt him in the long run here in qualifying, coming out of the final corner. Nonetheless, despite all of that, it will be a lap time, and it will be one of, if not the first, time of the session. It's the first, and it is a 38.6, immediately eclipsed by Robert Cook's 1:38.2. Only 2 times on the board at the moment. Make that 3 with Vernie's 39.2.
Yep, you're going to see them start to light up the timing tower now as a lot of our drivers come around to finish their first of 3 timed flying laps. Matthew Might's to the top right now, but that time is not going to stand because they leave pit lane with cold tyres throughout the session. They get warmer, their lap times get faster, and they definitely improve on the second, if not the third of their laps. So your first time on the board, good opportunity for a banker lap, good opportunity to make sure you're on the board and feeling out the track conditions. But it's not going to be your best lap, and if it is your best lap, you probably did something wrong later on.
Yeah, exactly right. Let's see Jamie Davis then on the brakes at about the 3 mark, it looks like, for the final corner. And then tipping it in on the power, coming to the line. This is not going to be a pole lap. It will be a 1:39.7. That's a couple seconds off. That does put him into 8th place, though.
Yep, does. Not bad for the first flying lap there. Always more improvement to happen as we go further into the session. No time on the board yet for Peter Wilkinson.
No, not yet, but he's
Your
about to
winner
be done
from
with
race
his
1 goes to the top of the timing tower for qualifying for race 2 as his second flying lap comes onto the board. Same 2 for Cam Dance and Matty Jones and others.
Here's Russell Clark, our championship leader, by 9 points. Looking to extend the margin with a good qualifying effort to help him on his way. 37.1. That'll put him into 2nd place for now.
Kevin Henderson, big gainer in the first race. So maybe didn't get qualifying right for race 1. And of course, there's 2 qualifying sessions each week for each round. There's no progressive grids, no reverse grids, just qualifying. Sets race 1. They do race 1. Then we get into this qualifying session for race 2. Then we do race 2. So being a good qualifier, I think, would certainly help you in this championship with the short and fast races.
P6 there for Matt Marsh.
What I'm saying is someone reach out to Jarno Trulli and give him an invite.
One of the best drivers in Formula 1 history, it would seem.
Top 10. It's
Top
mathematically, factually based.
I have many queries to that, such as why is Ricciardo 16th when he beat Sebastian Vettel?
Okay, John Tron, you have several questions.
He also beat Max Verstappen twice. And he's beaten every other teammate he's had, bar 2018.
Heikki Kovalainen made the top 10, and he's on iRacing. Not sure he's awake at this time of day. Not sure he wants to race Skip Barbers with us, but I see him on iRacing quite often. He seems to very much enjoy it. He was in the same split with the Spa 24 with my team. So he's...
Was that split 8?
Oh, it was single digits.
9.
No, it was like 4 or 5 or something. Wasn't first or second split, though. Qualifying continues on here, and a couple of drivers now, including Christopher Williams, have put in their 3rd and final timed lap, and that is not going to be a valid timed lap for Matt Marsh, but he is going to take the opportunity to practice his pit entry. And let's talk about the pit entry here, because it's got a wall on the outside, and it's quite a sharp corner.
It does. You got a brake as well, and as we saw for Matty Marsh, he was locking it up when he tried to bring it into pit road there.
Of course,
Peter
race
Wilkinson
2
showing us as well.
Compulsory pit stop, like you mentioned, which means that practicing your pit entry is something a lot of the drivers do at the end of this qualifying session to make sure they can absolutely nail it, shave every second, half a second, every tenth they can off their pit stop time, so they come out ahead of as many other drivers as possible.
And it actually slightly pulls to the right before the big left that you traditionally see as they come into pit lane. So it's not a straight entry, which just adds to the complexity of it. Pit exits, well, not any more straightforward. You've got a very tight and narrow line up and over the hill against the concrete, and then exactly one car's width to play with as you make a big hairpin at the bottom as you come back on at racing speed. Pan to the left, and there's that little, almost turns into a chicane.
Yeah,
You can
so
take some liberties with that inside curving, but not too many.
pit in and pit exit are part of the track. They're their own corners, so you've got to practice them. You've got to leave no time on the table, but you also can't afford to ruin your race going in too hot and hitting the tire barrier there. And of course, pit exit has its own hairpin to the inside of the Andretti hairpin. And when you leave pit lane with cold front tires, I'm willing to put maybe a whole $1 on the line that someone is going to push too hard and go wide off the pit exit.
If turn 2 is a Mario Andretti hairpin, then I think the pit exit should be called the Marco Andretti hairpin, because it's basically the same, but just smaller.
Yeah, and every now and again it gets its time in the sun as well.
Yeah. Pole position for the Indy 500 this year. Speaking of pole position, is Christopher Williams starting ahead of John Schultz to his outside. Russell Clark and Cameron Dance from 3rd and 4th. Matty Jones and Robert Cook on row 3. Matthew Mikes and Matt Marsh, 7th and 8th, 9th and 10th. Goes to Aidan Coote and Braden Martin.
11th place is Sean Doyle, with Kevin Henderson starting around about 12th there once again. Very similar to race 1. And row 7 has Dean Williams and Angus Cook. I think Angus Cook's a bit out of position there that far back, but Nathan Verney's in 15th with Jeremy Bush 16th on the grid, Dennis Hancock 17th, Jamie Davis 18th, Julian Mookie 19th, David Summers in 20th.
21st, Vic Bent Velson, Russell Marsh, Jack Patterson, Leon Williams, row 11 and row 12. Ira Feldberg and Peter Wilkinson on row 13 ahead of Philip Howe and Connor Brown, then Isaac Summers and Matthew Joy from 29th and 30th, and rounding out the field, we've got Gary Wellman in 31st. So we've lost 2, and we've lost 4 degrees in track temp as well, and added 6 laps to our race distance.
Yeah, indeed we have, and this race got that strategy element in it, but it's still at 15 laps at Laguna Seca, going to be a very short, very quick race. What about the strategies we've seen? Pitting lap 1, a possibility, but seems to have fallen out of favor a little bit.
All depends on where you are on the racetrack, how much you're being held up, how much the draft is worth. I don't imagine it's worth quite as much at this track as it has been at almost any of the others on the schedule. So we may see some early stops again today, but I guess that question will be answered in about a minute and a half when we roll around past the pit entry at the end of lap number 1. The revs rise for the second and final time today. Green flag is out from Laguna Seca. And it's a migration to the inside line for your first 5 rows.
Yeah, follow the leader, they go. Good jump from Williams as he defends the inside. Teammates of Schultz and Clark on track together once again, but cutting to the inside. Dance is going to grab at least 1 spot there, positioning himself very well to shuffle Russell Clark backwards.
Clark just hanging on in there with the overlap, not quite able to carry on with it. John Schultz is right under the rear wing at the moment of Christopher Williams. Does not want to let him get away again like he did in race 1. He won by a second. He had the margin about 1.7 for most of the race and was never challenged outside of the first half a lap. You see the battle still going on in the middle of the field. A couple of side-by-side race cars. That's Sean Doyle in 12th position. And then heading up into turn 6 and up into the Rahal Straight.
Angus Cook to his inside, as you see that from the helicopter shot. Going too wide through there, rarely sticks. And Angus Cook trying to move up a couple of spots early here. I said I thought he'd qualified out of position, and he is bombing his way through the field here, trying to pick them off. There's been a coming together on lap 1 further back in the pack, like there regularly seems to be.
Sean Doyle took the scenic route down through the corkscrew, hoping to find a winery, and found none, as at least 3 come to pit road. There's been a collision just behind him on the racetrack. Dean Williams goes around, and with him as well, Nathan Verney has slowed as we go to our modem simulation replay of the incident at turn 6, or just after it. This is David Summers.
Yep, cold tyres, has a wiggle, and straight to the barriers. Behind that, Leon Williams is in a difficult spot. Gets collected by, might have been Philip Howe, if I recognise the liveries by this point of the season. But that is a bad spot to have a spin, but an easy spot to have a spin on lap 1 with cold tyres all round.
So 2 separate incidents unfolding up the same corner, and then a third up at the penultimate corner. As John Schultz has fallen to 3rd, Cameron Dance into 2nd. The chase is on between number 1 and 2 in our championship. Russell Clark also... Russell Clark's in the championship. Williams and Dance are both 2nd, and they're 1st and 2nd in the race at the moment. As here comes the move from Dance up the hill and into turn 7 on the inside for the corkscrew. And unsettled as Williams as he jumps on the brakes, and that's going to cost him a spot to John Schultz as well.
Yeah, he was in a tough place around the outside there and did lock up a tyre on his way to the corkscrew. So that gives Cam Dance the lead of the race right now. John Schultz is still in a good position. These guys are staying away from pit lane this early portion in the race because they don't want to get shuffled back into traffic.
That's a cool shot of the apex at the final corner as the cars come through there at just north of 60 kilometers an hour, and then they arrive down at turn 1 at something in the region of 180 kilometers an hour as 2 more cars are on pit road. Kevin Henderson, Jamie Davis, 2 of those, as John Schultz does the fastest up of the race there when he went from 3rd to 2nd.
So he's keeping Dance honest, and maybe the best job Schultz can do as a teammate to Russell Clark is keep Cameron Dance honest at this point in the race. Fortunately, Clark's gone and lost another position. Matty Jones up into 4th place.
Yeah, so Clark not having a great race number 2 at the moment. He'll look to recover that, though, in the next 12 or so laps. Pit stops might be kind to him. Is Schultz close enough to pull a move on Dance like he did to Williams on the last lap? Not quite, but he'll definitely have Dance looking in his rearview mirror at the...
Has to pick and choose carefully where the moves are going to happen, and Clark is close as you like to Matty Jones, keeping the pressure on there around 4th place. No pit stops yet from our top 5. So they all stay to the right-hand side of the circuit to set up for the final corner. Big run up the hill from Robert Cook. Jack Patterson is going to lose out. Cook has pitted, and he's the highest placed of the drivers who have made that required tyre change.
That's a lot of drivers, and if he's running in 11th place, is up the road. That's a move back into P4 for Russell Clark. A good run out of the last corner, undeterred by a defensive move from Jones down the main straight to take that spot away. Now 3 seconds off the lead of the race. The leading trio of Dance, Schultz and Williams covered by 9/10 at the moment.
And this is where this series gives the excitement that Formula One lacks, because in Ozicar Skip Barber, you can see a Williams fighting for the lead.
at a third of the speed. Wait, no, Williams at half of the speed of a Formula One car.
He had the fastest lap of the race last time around, though, and it kind of looks like he has been closing in on Dance and Schultz here. He's keeping himself within the space near the lead, and then he clouts a bit of that orange curb. Dance is in the dirty stuff there. That's going to slow him down. That's going to get on his tyres, and it's going to give Schultz maybe an opportunity to launch better off the final corner. A little bit of a mistake there from Dance.
Cameron was dancing out in the grass there, or the dirt, at the penultimate corner. And now he's trying to defend the inside. Opting not to, actually. He's confident that Schultz was too far back. And he was right in that assessment. Schultz did not have a look. Opts for the racing line, which is always the quickest way through. Having a look and showing a nose can slow you down if you do it poorly, which is often the way it's implemented in iRacing, because none of us are professional race car drivers. Most of us. No,
but there are some on iRacing.
Yeah, most of us aren't professional race car drivers.
So it's our top 9 that haven't pitted, and then almost everyone behind there has this point in the race. Jamie Davis, who is involved with some last lap excitement in race 1, mixed right in and amongst it with Julian Mookie and Sean Doyle, and all these guys have made their stop.
Wonder if he'll opt to pit this lap. Connor Brown is just up the road from Cameron Dance. You can very much see him out his screen at the moment. He opts not to pit, so he's confident that Brown won't hold him up. And I wonder if he held him up there on the apex of the last corner. He gets out of the way now, down the main straight. Good job. Top 3 will go by.
Easy spot to let the whole pack of the top 3 through together.
Clark has not managed to pull away from Matty Jones. Jones is sticking with him. And they're now 3.8 away from Dant. So he's pulling out from 4th and 5th. So as these 3 continue, their margin of safety gets bigger and bigger. And the more they may be able to fight when we get into the closing stages of this race. I do get the feeling at the moment there is a little bit of pace being held back by maybe all 3 of these guys up at the front.
The Battle of the Cooks. You'll probably see a reality TV show about this shortly, but Robert Cook leading Angus Cook with an E. And this is the battle amongst the drivers who've made their pit stop. So where they end up compared to the current top 5 cars, not sure, but it's only up the order for these 2 guys, as every car in front of them still needs to make a pit stop.
Looking at the leaderboard, I imagine they'll jump Peter Wilkinson, who's like 2 seconds ahead of them. They'll also jump Braden Martin, who's 16 seconds in front. Don't think they'll get the top 6, who are all about 30 seconds up the road. But for Angus Cook, it's +4 already. Robert Cook's -3, so he's hoping to gain a lot more through the last half of this race, as there's the move for Angus Cook, +5 for him in this race as he slips by the other Cook with ease. As Wilkinson throws it off the racetrack, trying to get out of the way, despite being on the same lap as them. Wilkinson actually hadn't had a bad day out so far, 26 to 8th for him. Having to take that pit stop would have dropped him to about 20th, but still would have been close to a good improvement. Williams has dropped off a bit, though, from our top 2.
Yeah, tidbit scruffy on his most recent lap. Didn't improve while John Schultz went and set the fastest lap of the race. So I think Dance and Schultz are ramping up the pace, and Williams has just started flagging a little bit behind them, and now a second back, which is kind of critical. You need to be within that 1 second when it comes time. Pardon me as I bump my mic. When it comes time for pit stops. 2/10 for the lead, though, and Schultz is ramping up that pressure, which actually makes me think he might be coming in this lap or next, because that's about when you would ramp up the pressure, when it's about pit stop time. So Dance out, Schultz still out, but looking racy, looking fierce, and he's there and thereabouts. Top 5, top 6. Dodge the pit lane now at half distance.
And Schultz actually pulled out of the draft down that main straight, so I don't know if he is looking to go by at the moment or not. Maybe he just has a lot more pace naturally than Dance, or enough to pressure him without putting much pressure on himself. Further back, Julian Mookie, Sean Doyle, Jamie Davis, Dennis Hancock, battling away for 15th or 14th place at the moment.
Oh no, Jamie Davis.
Oh.
That was quite the wiggle, and he ended up dragging dirt onto the circuit. It was trying to get the car rotation down the hill. Tire on the dirt, tire on the dirt. And that will,
Tire on the dirt, many tires on the dirt.
going for a Californian adventure.
The gravel spewing out the back of the car as he rejoins the racetrack, leaving nice little presents for the next few drivers to get through there. Williams closing back up. So top 3 condensed once more as Schultz releases the pressure valve on Karen Dance ever so slightly. Pit road will not get any visitors on this lap from those 3, or from Russell Clark, Matty Jones, or Aiden Coote. I imagine if Dance is the first to pit, I imagine they might all go with him.
Knowing that your outlap on the cold tires hurts you a little bit, if I was any of the guys behind, I'd go just 1 lap longer to do something different and maybe be able to overcut him.
You're still going to have that poor outlap then. When you come out and they're on
Yeah,
the hot
but
tires.
as long as you come out on the bad tires in front of them, you can do what you like to try and keep them behind while your tires warm up. So I think to get the track position, you might aim to go 1 lap longer.
See how this plays out then. Schultz, I think you can definitely say, has the pace advantage. And I think I've convinced myself now that he is just hanging back and intentionally not passing Dance, who throws a couple tyres off the outside of the racetrack, and this will be the opportunity for John Schultz to get up the inside, and he doesn't take it. I'm now convinced Schultz is waiting and hunting his prey.
Yeah, Schultz has definitely been just a little bit cleaner, maybe a little bit more consistent, not putting, tires on the dirt here and there. He's just been doing the same lap after lap, and that's what's kept him with Cam Dance.
It's another lap, and it's another top 6 going by pit entry. Lap 10 of 15, 6 to go here on Laguna Seca as John Schultz does a purple lap, and that's about a 10th off the fastest we saw in race 1. In terms of qualifying, it is 2/10 quicker than pole for this race.
And what helps him with that is having a little bit of a toe off Cam Dance, and also just having a lot more laps to warm the tyres. That's Peter Wilkinson at the top of the corkscrew. He hasn't pitted yet in 16th, make that 17th now. So he's had a little problem, and this is what catches people out. You've got to start braking before that right-hand kink, before the left-hander, before the right-hander. So you're coming across the crest with a little bit of steering angle on right as you start braking, and the combination of all those 3 things together can just make the car turn around on you like that.
I was going to suggest maybe fuel as well could be a potential factor for the fast lap times, but you'd imagine most, if not all, these guys will have 2 different sets, one for qualifying with low fuel, one for the race where they start off with just enough fuel to get them through. This could be awkward. It is awkward. Oh! Gee whiz. That was a lot closer than any of them wanted.
Yeah, parting the seas like Moses, 2 lapped cars in front of Dance, and he said, I'm going to slot the middle here, and there was just room for it, and there was just
Schultz
room
did
for
hit him.
John Schultz.
You see Joy's car reacted and bounced, as if contact from Schultz had come. Right there. Looking at his car, though, it looks like he's escaped without damage. They both put it off the racetrack due to the slightly different line through the corner. And hasn't really affected the gap back to 4th. It's up to 4.3 still.
And it's done nothing to slow John Schultz, who's still there, pulling out of the draft a little bit just to make sure he doesn't get bottled up in the middle of the corner.
"19 minutes in. We'll get to 15 laps before the time comes up, won't we?" Yeah, we should do. Of course.
Yeah, in the change from the timed races to the lap count races, we've sort of rounded down in most cases. There's a parked car there that they all avoid. I can't tell if that was Martin or Mookie or someone else, but it's made a canoe once again.
Not as good as Aiden Coote's canoe, but Braden Martin making his best impression.
Yeah, Braden Martin just sort of falling apart there like the Port Adelaide Football Club against the Geelong Cats at Metricon Stadium last Friday. He's going to watch this broadcast back and chastise me for that remark, but it's all factual. Jones and Coote are on the lane from 5th and 6th place, so they've pulled the trigger while the top 4 stay out.
And I don't think it's going to have much of an effect on the battle to catch these top 3 because Dan, Schultz and Williams had pulled away and were comfortably in front of the group that Clark was leading. Be interesting to see where Jones and Coote come out, though, relative to the rest of the field. Guys like Cook and Cook. Coote and Jones should get out in front of Angus Cook here. There they are on the left of screen, going through the Marco Andretti hairpin as Cook comes through Mario Andretti. And there's the margin.
Side by side, lead the race, top of the hill, and Schultz pulls out of it once again.
Living life comfortably is John Schultz right now, and Cameron Dance, I'm sure, is not loving having John Schultz tucked right up behind him. Even if he has clued on to the fact that Schultz is being rather reserved. Into pit lane comes Dance. Schultz reacts to it and opts not to come to pit road. Williams does, though.
Looked like a late decision, but I think if he wants to win, he's just kind of got to do the opposite of what Dance does.
Schultz was coming to pit road, and once it registered in his brain that Williams was that Dance was also coming to pit road, he then decided to stay out. Better to commit to pitting and decide late not to, rather than committing to staying out and deciding to pit late. That's the one that can result in a penalty. Front tires being changed for 1st and 3rd in this race. Imagine it's been rather comfortable over the guys behind than it is. There's Matty Jones. Next car on the racetrack. In fact, that gap might have gotten even bigger.
You know, we talk about the overcut, I think, is was faster. So if you pit and then your opposition pit 1 lap later, I think they'll end up ahead of you in most circumstances.
Looking at John Schultz, where he is on the racetrack. Through the corkscrew, clean air in front. Needs a clean visor.
I was about to say, is that on our camera or is that on his visor and he needs to take another tear off? Bit of both, alright. So what's he going to do? That looks like heading for pit road. So that needed to be that would need to be the best lap of John Schultz's entire race, this in-lap.
And Russell Clark comes with him from second. And now here is Dance and Williams. Remember, these two were first and third as they came to pit road. Dropping it off the outside of the track there. Cold tyres for Dance, just coming up to temperature now. John Schultz, the front up in the air, strapping on his own set of fresh, cold rubber. Off the jacks, he gets dropped off the speed limit now. There he is, here comes Dance. It's going to be very tight. Remember, John Schultz has the inside line for turn 2, the Andretti hairpin. And I think he's going to take this one away. It's going to be incredibly tight. John Schultz takes away the lead of the race with the overcut at Laguna Seca. But now he's got to get his tyres up to temperature. Cameron Dance has got his in the working range. And now we see whether this is the right call.
And the crew for John Schultz deserve a pat on the back because they were a second and a half faster than Dance. I think there's some random chance in exactly how long it takes to change the tyres, as in the real world, and Schultz has lucked out there.
He's doing well so far on this lap to maintain the gap. Back to Cameron Dance with just a lap and a bit remaining in this one. They pitted very late. Schultz waited and waited and waited until the pit stop phase. Did the opposite to Dance. Set out the extra lap. And now has clean air in front of him. As a result, leads this race. But a mistake through the corkscrew. Tightens it up. Schultz not in the top 10 in the championship. Racing for himself. Cameron Dance racing for the championship. The leader is back in 4th. And there's the move. At the final corner from Dance. He gets it pulled up. But look at the outside. Get the momentum for John Schultz. Now it's a drag race. Coming to the line. White flag. One more time around. Laguna Seca.
Yeah, if they're that close coming to the checkered flag, what a race it's going to be. But super, super close. Dance with the inside. Schultz around the outside of the hairpin. And they're back to like they were before the pit stops. This is make or break again for Schultz.
I think Schultz was looking for the crossover move at the hairpin, but just couldn't quite find the turn in he needed. He had to put a lot of steering angle through the car to get it turned, and he started to scrub across the racetrack. Look at the rear end for Dance. Look how far out both of them go. Neither of them showing any regard for track limits. Through turn 4. Through turn 5. And now coming up to turn number 6. Is Schultz close enough to get the run through here? I'll then get the momentum up the right half straight and into the corkscrew. Dance knows he's right there, and he covers off the inside for the corkscrew. So here comes Schultz to the outside, side by side, into the corkscrew on the final lap of the race for the race lead. Dance leads him through, using some of the dirt. Schultz looking to the inside. That's very tight as they come down the hill now. 2 corners remain for Cameron Dance to hold on to this race win. He's got the inside for the final corner, but look out for Schultz. He'll set himself up for the strong exit here. He turns it in. He can't get the traction down. And out of the final corner, Cameron Dance is going to walk across the line to claim another race win in the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Schultz in second. Christopher Williams rounds out the podium.
And boy, did he have to fight for it. While that was all going on, there was some drama back for 5th and 6th place. Matty Jones and Aiden Coop coming together. And I'm hoping we can pick up a replay of that one because Matty Jones is furious. And Aiden Coop and Angus Cook have continued on for 5th and 6th.
And believe it or not, Jay might be able to pick this one up for us. Here we go. Motum simulation replay.
Yep, here we go. So a lot of hot heads on the final lap. And what great racing it was for the lead. At that same time, this is what was going on. Matty Jones with his nose in front at the minute. Cook trying to go around the outside. Coot in the black and yellow machine. Switching, chopping lanes, trying to find a way. And There just is not room at the apex of the corner there between Coote and Jones. It sends Jones into the air and around. And then, whoa, take a look at that rejoin. Wow.
You know, I don't know if Matty Jones turned in here because from that angle, Aiden Coote definitely had enough of the overlap, had every right to put his car in that gap. Looking from on board with Jones, how much does he turn in? All the way. I mean, he pretty much turned into about a car width and a fraction. Wasn't much margin for error, and the error came from one of them. Good luck, race control. The rejoin will be a little bit more clear-cut.
And that's Kevin Henderson there, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
Cops a bit of an impact to the side pod there. He still managed to bring it home in 10th after all of that, though. So we're going to see it from his perspective.
By the way, Angus Cook, fantastic race for him. Remember, we saw him after pitting early, running in 10th behind Robert Cook. Well, he walks away with a P5 finish, +7 in the end. Here's our full results then from race 2 at Laguna Seca. Cameron Dance wins his 4th race in 5 attempts. John Schultz coming home in 2nd, a 10th away at the checkered flag. Christopher Williams picks up 3rd. Russell Clark in 4th and Angus Cook in 5th, as mentioned. Aiden Coote finishes in 6th. Robert Cook in 7th. Matthew Mites, Matt Marsh, Cohen Henderson, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
11th place, bringing it home where he started on the grid, is Sean Doyle. Julian Mookie, 7 spots gained to 12th. 5 spots gained to 13th for Jamie Davis. 11 spots gained into 14th place for Ira Felberg. Russell Marsh finishes 15th. Nathan Verney, 16th. 17th for Isaac Summers. 18th for Vic Bent-Veltzen. 19th for David Summers. 20th is Matthew Joy.
By the way, +12 for Isaac Summers. So he is the biggest mover. Not bad effort from him. Rest of the field were a lap down. Matty Jones, Peter Wilkinson, Jack Patterson, and then Connor Brown, 2 laps down. The rest retirements: Braden Martin, Dennis Hancock, Gary Wellman, Dean Williams, Leon Williams, Philip Howell, Jeremy Bush. Rounds out our 31 cars. Big attrition rate for a big open track. I suppose not having asphalt surrounding the place makes it a little bit tougher, which is why we like these sorts of race tracks. Let's have a chat to runner-up John Schultz. Oh, you missed out by just that much, 1.5 tenths. Thoughts?
It was good racing. I forgot how sketchy changing tires and having a cold set and a warm set could be, so probably didn't do enough with the gap when I came out of the pits. But yeah, I mean, Cam's fast. He made me work for it. I think I made him work for it, and yeah, he got it at the end.
It was a good race between you all race long. I was sort of pondering throughout the race whether you were holding back to stay behind him. Was that the case? Were you just waiting for pit stops?
Yeah, we had a train of 3, so if we started to battle, the pack behind us probably would have caught up. So it was all just a bit about getting some gap and then looking at the last few laps to start making moves.
Smart mind, that, and a good racing line that will take you far if you keep making those decisions. Didn't quite get there today, but still 2 more rounds left to go. I assume we'll see you back for those 2 rounds, and you'll be hunting for some more race wins.
That's the idea, mate. Belle Isle next week. I like that track. As a team, we're pretty good at it, so hopefully we can pull out a win there.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that battle around the bumpy streets of Belle Isle. Who do you want to thank for helping me get up there on the podium today?
I want to thank my team. We had a good result today. I think we're closing in on P1 in the team championship. So yeah, go Team Milo.
Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing how you go next week.
Goodbye.
John Schultz coming home in 2nd place today. Also got our race 2 winner standing by with David Haynes.
Yeah, Cam Dance, once again, top step of the podium in the feature race. But the first race of this evening sort of broke your win streak there.
Kind of weird. I seemed to struggle on the cold tyres in that first race for some weird reason, and then just didn't have any pace for reasons I couldn't figure out till the second race. So it was a little bit of just gaining points there in the end and coming away with a fourth place.
Hang on. Would you say that was due to a lack of practice, due to overconfidence after your 3 wins in a row?
Well, I mean, I did no. Well, actually, no. I did more practice than I actually did last week. So there's something for you. But no, I just take it on as every race comes. There's no point trying to get up in your head about how many wins or podiums or anything like that you get. So it's just a matter of wrong place, wrong time sort of thing. Not quite there.
Just tell Ryan I don't accept the premise of the question and refuse to answer it next time. But Cam, I'll put to you, this race we've just seen, it seems like at Laguna Seca, passing was a lot more difficult than some of the other tracks we've been to this season. Did that put a premium on qualifying?
Yeah, obviously to some extent it did. I mean, some of the corners you really had to pretty much get them out on the dash and really throw caution to the wind and hope that you didn't lock a front or anything like that. So yeah, it was a really, really difficult track to pass on, even with the fact that you had some sort of straight to try and get a bit of a draft on it. Didn't really have enough of a length to be able to utilize it properly, so you had to sort of set your run up as best as you possibly could, and even then it could possibly be not quite enough in the end. So yeah, it was really, really all about qualifying, but at the end of the day it's also about being able to drive on those cold tires as best as you can, which we did in the second race.
And what about the long pit exit here, where in the closing laps you're coming over the hill on the pit straight and you can see John Schultz to your left and you're not quite sure where he's going to be on the pit exit when you get there?
Yeah, I actually thought I had cleared him on the way into turn 1, but obviously with the pit exit being a shorter route around turn 1, he obviously popped out in front of me, and it was a little bit of a surprise, but I did make a mistake or two on my outlap, so I wasn't quite surprised. But yeah, I knew he was going to be on cold tyres and struggling for at least a lap or so, so I knew I had to use the heat that I'd gotten from my outlap and the tyres to the advantage that I could, and obviously did in the end, barely.
And with those tyres and that required pit stop, everyone in the top 5 took it really late in the race this time. Is that because the passing was difficult and the premium on track position?
I honestly don't know. I was more or less just waiting to see what everybody else did and then react to them. I think everybody was sort of doing the same and seeing what I was going to do and then react to me. But yeah, it was
Did you
a
say
little
like
bit
sheep?
Oh, I guess you could, but yeah, it was a really, really interesting pit strategy this week with everybody pitting as late as they possibly could, nearly on the last lap. So, yeah, it was one of those things, I guess, about this track where obviously you're trying to get track position, and with John being probably slightly quicker than me, probably had the advantage in pitting slightly later, but obviously leaving it as late as possible did leave minimal room for him to try and gain. So, yeah, it was just a matter of trying to do what we could with it.
Well, Cam, you grab another win, keep it super close in the points championship with 2 rounds to go. Belle Isle up next. Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, just obviously you guys for the awesome broadcast, Ira for putting on the great series, everybody for the awesome racing, especially John and Chris. That was intense at the end. Yeah, Hyper Stimulator, Kiwi Simulators, and obviously guys at Fist Line Motorsport, and also, yeah, just going to send it at Belle Isle because it's one of my favourite tracks.
Again, that'll probably be one where passing is difficult and qualifying is a premium, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And we got one more interview. We got Chris Williams here, her winner in race 1, third in race 2, a total of 2 different races. But still, 2 podiums, not a bad result for you. Chris, you there? You got us there, Christopher Williams? No, sir, he does not. So we will wrap this one up here on Simspeed TV with 2 interviews. So to close out our night, make sure if you want to stay up to date with all the Ozicar acts, go like them on Facebook at Ozicar and also the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series page as well, which runs on a Wednesday night. Make sure to like Simfinity Virtual Motorsport Mentor and Simspeed Sports Network as well across social media, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Simspeed TV. But for tonight, from myself, Ryan Jones, Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, and David Haynes alongside me, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's going the outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?